My piece for the week over the weekend was about this and was headlined "The Genie is Out of the Bottle." It is authority that provokes revolution. This occurs when a feeling of impunity takes root among the elite. We are allowed anything, we can do anything. This is a delusion, but it rests on a certain rational foundation. For a while, it does indeed look as if they can do whatever they want. Scandal after scandal and illegality after illegality go unpunished. The people remain silent. They are afraid and do not yet feel their own strength. At the same time, they keep a detailed account of the wrongs, which at one particular moment are to be added up. The choice of that moment is the greatest riddle of history. That was Kapuscinski, page 106, Shah of Shahs. You will recall that only last year, in a speech before the African Union in 2016, Mugabe said he would remain at the helm until God says, "Come." What is clear is that an old man's mind and political antennae were properly scrambled by an ambitious wife. A wife who was always untenable and whose political longevity was entirely correlated to the presence of her husband. The fast-moving events in Harare will culminate in the dismissal of President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, the reinstatement of the vice president who fired, Emerson Mnangagwa, Mr. Mnangagwa, aka the crocodile. A crocodile patiently waits for his target, pretending to be a rock. At times you think he doesn't react or doesn't have any solution to what is happening. He doesn't show irritation until the optimal moment, and then he strikes, and when he does, he doesn't miss his target. My friend Hervé Gogo rebutted Reuters, saying the analogy to Kaikeshku is misplaced. This isn't a revolution, but just an aggiornamento inside ZANU-PF, and everyone is currently negotiating with Mugabe. The pictures from Harare on Saturday spoke to a people power which is a genie which will be difficult, if not impossible, to put back in its bottle. It's like Christmas, said one marcher, Fred Mube. He had a warning for whoever takes over Zimbabwe. If the next leader does the same, we're going to come out again. I agree with U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Yamamoto, who said it's a transition to a new era for Zimbabwe. That's really what we're hoping for. The military, which launched its decapitation, are certainly set to shape the outcome, but now have a tiger by the tail. Interestingly, the military have been walking on linguistic eggshells and sidestepping the word coup with finesse. Zimbabwe's economy has fallen to the 20th biggest in sub-Saharan Africa from being the 10th when President Mugabe came into power almost 4 decades ago. The economy has halved in size since 2000. As of October, the country owed lenders, including the IMF, World Bank, and African Development Bank, about $9 billion, according to the Finance Ministry. Hyperinflation peaked at about 500 billion% at the end of 2008, according to the IMF, leading to Zimbabwe abandoning its own currency in favor of a basket of foreign exchange, including the South African rand, the dollar, the euro, and the pound, as well as the so-called bond notes printed by the government. After 2.5 years of deflation, consumer prices have started rising again in February, driven by a shortage of cash and higher food costs, and it's difficult to see how another bout of hyperinflation is avoided. The dislocation in the economy is evidenced in the price of Bitcoin, which jumped as high as $13,499, almost double the rate at which it trades in international markets, according to prices cited on Golig's website. Further evidence of economic disequilibrium is seen in the performance of the stock market. Before a correction at the end of the week, the Zimbabwe Industrial Index had jumped 390% year to date, and the MSCI Zimbabwe Index 420%. The country's shares are trading at a 475% premium to cash, According to an exotics analysis of old mutual data, that difference has to collapse for there to be any chance of Zimbabwe normalizing. This difference started to collapse on Friday with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange dropping $1.5 billion in value and the industrial index shedding 11.32%. What is clear is that Zimbabwe is entering a new normal and that in the medium term, Zimbabwe has the potential to be one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. The people want to grab that opportunity with both hands. If ZANU-PF want to be part of that new, more optimistic future, they need to invite the opposition into government, look for a big cash boost from the international community in order to stabilize them now. Zimbabweans have only known one leader, and that leader, I said, is now gone. He hasn't gone yet, but he's going. Zimbabweans say Mugabe must quit now, but more talks planned. AP. Mr. Mugabe, on the other hand, he dismissed as a senile old man who has lost control of his wife. In the Globe and Mail, Geoffrey York quoted Tendai Biti, who said, hubristic arrogance. He was in power so long, he became so comfortable, complacent and overconfident. He's stubborn and he forgot the nature of the state around him. This is a military state, the state of securocrats. He forgot that he was just a representative of the securocratic state. And it will always dump you if you don't deserve it, so they fired him. Mr. Mugabe's own blunders led to his fall. Mr. Gwede says, when someone is in power for 37 years, there is the myth of invincibility. And Mugabe himself believed it. He forgot that his rule was based on the security agencies, not the popular will. He showed arrogance, and the military decided that enough was enough. He was aware that something was afoot, but he couldn't stop it. One of his biggest blunders was to allow his politically inexperienced wife to share his power. She has an inflated sense of superiority, but she lacks the emotional intelligence to know that you shouldn't insult people in public. She seems to revel in the limelight. Guardian produced pictures of protesters in Zimbabwe calling for Mugabe to step down. The whole mood, very inclusive, very well behaved. It really is a miraculous response. I like this quotation. When you have two persons in a room, you do not have two, you have six. What each person is, what each person thinks he or she is, and what each person thinks the other is. Antonio Gutierrez on Trump and North Korea. You will recall when I wrote my piece about the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, I said then we could witness a massive $1 trillion disgorge right here. Seems to be what the main thrust of these arrests.